Did you hit the record?
No.
Cool.
Oh my god, stop. Make it stop.
A one, a two, a skittle diddle do.
And here we are again on the Distorting Mirror podcast. I don't know the name of it yet, so we're just going to use our brand name.
Who are you?
I'm dead inside. But I'm also Justin.
I'm 2 cups of sugar with some flour.
That's actually right. So we're just going to move on.
Cool.
Cool.
Say my name.
Like me?
No, say my name.
Like me say your name?
No, the cat.
Hey, Diesel.
Say my name. Okay, you just say it.
The cat's not. It's Hudson.
Well, would have accepted Heisenberg, but you don't get that because you're a nub.
No. Let's talk about a fucking something.
We are talking about something.
Oh man.
Okay. So
I just
saw season 4 of Black Mirror,
and it was pretty okay.
I
guess we'll talk about Black Mirror because we both just saw Black Mirror season 4. It was light prank out of 10. But
do you have a chart?
Do I have a what?
Do I have to go steal something?
There's a charger right over here, actually, like right next to me.
Oh, it's still there from before. Yeah. Okay, well you keep talking.
Yeah. So Black Mirror season 4. I haven't, honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I haven't seen all of season 2 and 3. I've seen like a few episodes from each one.
Which one can I disconnect? There's 2 plugged in right here.
The one that's not my computer, so follow the wire, idiot. Yeah, so basically, you wanna.
It's like jammed in there.
We're having some technical difficulties right now, because Hudson needs to charge his phone. Okay. All right. Anyway, Black Mirror season 4. Like I said, I didn't see all of season 2 or 3.
I've seen.
Stop shaking the mic.
Well, you can't hear reverberation.
Is what you sound like. Okay.
Not at all, boy.
Not at all, boy.
Yeah, I actually watched season 4 without. There were many episodes I hadn't seen, so I've gone back and watched them. I'd already seen all of season 2. I still have like half of season 3 to get through, and I went back. I hadn't seen the season 1 episode with the bikes.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty good one too.
Yeah, it was pretty good. My friend, like I was telling you before.
You have friends?
The cat. He said his favorite one by far was the bike one.
Okay.
That's not my favorite, but it's pretty good for me. Black Mirror, sometimes it has that hard line of the symbolism it's like every episode sometimes is like Mother, where the symbolism sort of outweighs the actual plot and engagement.
Show me the way, brother.
And yeah, because people are gonna get that.
Dude, that meme is gonna blow up by the time the meme economy invests now. Anyway,
well,
I hate this.
What was I? Dude.
All right. Well, if you don't have anything to say.
No, I did. You cut me off. I'm trying to remember what the fuck train of thought I was.
Cucked me off.
You cucked me off. It's like Mother, where a lot of episodes that are really good aren't very engaging, and it's more about the symbolism and the message. So I feel like that episode's called 15 Million Merits.
Yeah.
With the bikes. And it's a really cool concept, but I do feel like it kind of verges on that line of the message is more important than the actual engagement of the plot. So,
right. So this is the first season since season 1 that I've just like watched it all the way through.
Did you do that by? Did you do it when season 1 came out, or you just?
No, it was like when I knew Black Mirror was a thing. I got around to it a little bit later. Mm-hmm. It was still not like a big deal when I saw the first season, but it was like kind of like, oh, this is kind of a neat thing that's coming out of British television right now.
I don't think it became a big deal until Netflix picked it up.
Yeah,
that's when I started to hear people talk about it.
Yeah, it could be.
Which was season 3 when they upped the episode order to 6.
Yeah, I know the first episode had a lot of controversy surrounding it.
I hate it. I didn't like it.
I didn't really care either way. I mean, it wasn't a great.
Well, I guess I didn't.
Awful.
I guess I didn't hate it, but if people hadn't pretty much like tried to force me to like, they kept saying don't judge this series from that first episode because that's easily one of the worst ones, and it doesn't even really let you gauge what the show is all about technologically. So it's just a dude fucking a pig. Obviously the blackmail aspect is more technological, but if you just saw that episode, you would never gauge what the theme. Like, no one needs to tell you what Black Mirror is about usually, but like if you watch that episode, they'd be like, so what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's I mean, I like the idea. It's like I guess we can. I mean, I don't know why I'm going into like generally what Black Mirror. It's kind of a cool anthology. I mean, we haven't had a good like anthology series since Twilight Zone.
Well, the thing is, it's hard to gauge what you would classify as anthology because nowadays the more popular is like American Horror Story or Fargo, where each season is its own story, and that's technically still anthology.
Yeah, I guess so. I never got into American Horror Story, so I don't know about it, but.
Yeah, just every season's different. Fargo, I think, is in terms of seasons, I think it is the best on television right now with a season-long story. It's great. It's great writing, great cinematography, great acting. It's just one of those that fires on all fronts, all 3 seasons.
Okay.
Some people say that second season is the best. I actually don't know about the 3rd season since that's relatively new, so I don't know where people rank that. But when season 2 came out, they couldn't believe how much better they thought it was in season 1. Season 1 was already really good, so I recommend everyone to watch that show.
Wow, dude! Didn't know this
so
was
I just saw Fargo, and it was pretty good.
Man, we are not parodying someone because we're not.
Shut up.
We're the distorting mirror now, okay, Hudson?
We're the distorting mirror.
That's what you sound like.
We're not. We don't parody.
Yeah. So season 4 of Black Mirror. I don't know. Do you want to go episode by episode? Overall, what do you feel about it? I guess we'll start with overall.
Well, I think.
Well, okay, all right.
it's because it doesn't really.
You want to let me talk? No, all right.
No,
keep going.
We can just do It doesn't even matter what order we go in because it's not like you can't really judge each season by the quality. You have to go each episode.
Yeah.
So like you can do like, oh, this one was the worst by far of the season, but like really there's no merit in judging the season on it. So what the fuck are you laughing at?
No, I just remember a picture of it's like Robert De Niro, and he's like,
what the fuck?
And he's like, I have nipples, Luke. Can you milk me?
What made you? That was from fucking Meet the Parents. What made you think of that?
I just saw the picture. I don't know. I have
the
no
picture.
idea.
Is there like a meme
there's like
or something?
a picture that's like, I have nipples, Luke. Can you milk me? Because they're talking about Luke from Star Wars.
You seen that drawing of like Kylo Ren has tits and Luke's car like milks him and treats.
Oh man.
Okay, so back to where the fuck we were talking about.
A Black Mirror. I mean, the episode everyone's talking about because it's the pilot episode. But the first episode, and it's one of the better ones, if not the best one to a lot of people. The USS Callister episode.
Great performance by Jesse Plemons, who's also in Fargo season 2. Check out Fargo season 2. Airs
Are you sponsored by, like,
every
Fargo
Wednesday at
FX
9 p.m. on FX.
And Jesus Christ. I mean, I saw the first episode of Fargo and I never went back to it. I guess I'll have to go back.
You do that a lot where you start, these shows that need
Eric showed it to me and Michelle, and then I never went back to their house to continue the show. So of course I'm not gonna like go. I didn't feel compelled to go home and continue it for some reason. It was just
it's just not. You should actually just watch the second season, like, because it's anthology. There's nothing connecting them except.
Well, I have to finish what I started, so it's just gonna.
Well, you're not though.
Yeah, I'm not.
You always.
so I'll never see Fargo.
You always start stuff that is really good, but has.
I didn't know this was the intervention.
Yeah,
podcast.
you always start.
We can talk about everything ever.
Well, you like to start stuff that generally gets really good, but then you kind of like fizzle out before it gets really good. So
yeah. I'm a fan of slow burns that are intentional.
Well, a lot of them are, but you still
No.
don't like.
I don't believe it.
The main ones that are like comedies that you don't like Arrested Development, where it doesn't start off that strong, but by the end of season 1, it's really funny. So,
I mean, that's one of those things where, like, with comedies, like, for example, my friend Thomas was talking about how he couldn't get into Parks and Rec because he couldn't get past season 1.
Oh, it's so bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, and then you were even saying, like, you didn't like season 2 that much either, but you felt like they really got into it near the end of season 2.
Yeah.
And I love Parks and Rec, so I wanted him to watch it, but now, I mean, he has the same problem I'm having with a lot of things, where it's like, if the first season's bad, it's like, at that point, I'm just like, you either put the effort and decide to get through it because you think it's worth it, or you just don't have the effort. Like, you don't want to put the effort for that thing, you know? It's like, you have to get through the shit to get to the good part, or you can just skip to the good part and maybe not have a good enough foundation to watch it, you know, and not have a great one.
Well, you know what's funny is I actually kind of feel that season 1 of Black Mirror is by far the weakest if you're going to compare seasons. Like, even though, like I said, it's not really a show where you can really, the seasons don't matter, it's the individual episodes.
Yeah.
But I don't like 2 out of 3 of the episodes in season 1. I just like wasn't really engaged, and it didn't give me that feeling that I would later learn that Black Mirror gave you. So, like,
yeah, so we were talking about USS Callister. Whoa. I mean, there's not much to, I don't know, for me, there's not much to dissect in that episode. It's just a fun little thing that it's like...
Should we just... I really don't want to do spoilers. I guess we won't.
I don't think we should, because it's a very
really
new season.
It's really new.
And Black Mirror is also one of those things where you can come in a lot later than, like, it's actual, like, coming out, and, like, you can still feel... It's one of those you can hold off on, honestly. There's not, like, a huge amount of hype to watch it now. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people will hold off till later to watch it.
I will say, because I wanted to...
Like Game of Thrones, that's like a cultural event, so you have to watch it as it's happening.
Breaking Bad was like that too towards the end.
Yeah,
it was like everyone was watching it. But
is there a murderer outside?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Hi, I'm Paul.
What's that from?
The end of Jimmy Neutron, DNA Productions with
the
three-eyed monkey. Hi, I'm Paul. But in USS Callister, I noticed there was a lot of small details that you might not notice. Like, I didn't notice it until I was reading about it.
Oh, the chocolate milk?
No.
Oh,
is that a spoiler?
No, I just threw out some chocolate milk.
Okay. But,
is that a spoiler?
No, I thought you were going to bring up something.
Is there not, I thought you knew something that I didn't about chocolate milk.
Why?
I don't know.
Where did chocolate milk come from? He drinks it, but
chocolate milk.
I'm sure that might have.
I like chocolate milk.
I love chocolate milk. This is the chocolate milk podcast.
Hey, if you ever want to send us chocolate milk,
what are we, the fucking Game Grumps? Like, people are just gonna send us shit because we're so popular?
Yeah, because I totally have a PO box for you to send it to, even if I
just my normal PO box. Here's my social security. But what I was saying was there's a thing towards the end that has to do with the ending where, like, and it's a quick line, and I didn't really catch it, where you could be like, well, that doesn't mean anything, then people could just come to his house. But it was the girl dropped a line, like the coworker said, well, I have 10 days to recover from work, because this was happening for a Christmas break, so they get 10 days off, which makes the ending a little bit more impactful and final. Because you could see it as a little bit open-ended, like it could go both, like, possible ways, but with that line, that's, like, all you need to know, that, like, no, it's, like, do you get what I'm trying to do without spoiling it, but do you get, like, what I'm...
No, I'm kind of lost.
With the fate, with, not fate, but just what happens with Daly.
Daly?
The main fucking character.
Oh, yeah, I forgot his name was Daly.
Like, just what happens with him. Because it's up in the air. People are like, well, someone could...
find him.
I'm just trying to keep it as vague as possible. But, you know, there's 10 days, so it's pretty much not going to happen. So there's little details like that throughout the episode. Because I was reading a Reddit thread that had all this stuff that people were, like, analyzing that I just didn't notice.
Right.
I can't really remember a lot of them off the top of my head right now. But it was pretty cool. And... I do wish they had. I told you this. I do wish they went more into the psychology of someone like that, where they're more of a villain, but there's still humanity in them. By the end of it, they kind of just kept making him a villain, and there was no introspection on. It's kind of like a person who was already sociopathic, but
Yeah.
Society doesn't treat him the way that he thinks he should, so he's manifesting all these feelings, and it makes it even worse. So it's kind of a comment on society on how dangerous it is to not deal with reality in a healthy emotional way.
Yeah.
And you harness these, you put these feelings into something very unhealthy, which is a lot of the gaming community. That's what a lot of people do. They feel powerful, and I've read articles that say that Black Mirror is one of the only shows on TV to actually get the video game industry, like just video games in general, like the psychology of it. Because they've had 2 video game episodes and they've both played really well. This one's definitely deeper than Playtest in terms of commenting, but it was
I agree.
I feel like you're just sitting there the whole time fish hooking yourself. Did you like take a Benadryl or something? You suddenly got really tired?
I just like I said, I didn't have much to say about that episode. I just thought it was a pretty good one. There's not a lot for me to think about.
You being the analytical writer seems like you'd have something to say about it.
It was pretty well written, I guess. I mean,
surely
I
had
like
things that they could have done better.
They covered their bases pretty well for what the concept was.
It just could have gone above and beyond, but stayed above.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't think that ending left something to be desired with the portrayals?
I mean, this kind of goes back to the general theme of the season, that it's more cathartic and more hopeful than other seasons. So,
which we haven't actually mentioned on.
Yeah,
in this.
We haven't. But hey, I believe season 4 is more cathartic and hopeful than the other seasons of Black Mirror.
Yeah, I was, when I got 4 out of 6 episodes in, I texted Justin that, and I was like, this seems oddly hopeful for this show.
Yeah.
Like, most of the endings are,
I mean,
like, they're still bleak, but you know.
Yeah, because Black Mirror was it was always about what the horrors of technology. So they were literally horror stories. They're like, it only ends badly because of the way this technology is being used, and the characters almost always suffer a horrible, fate. And that kind of follows along with like most Twilight Zone stuff, for example. But then I think they decided to make the turn, and it could have to do with Netflix or trying to get a more mainstream audience. That's like really uncomfortable for a lot of people to watch a show like that. I know, like, for example, my sister says she doesn't watch Black Mirror because it stresses her out too much. And if there's people like that who look at the show and think this isn't something I can sit down and relax and watch with my, like, after work, then they're not going to watch it, and that's a big stuff. And that's a big sorry, didn't know what that noise was until I looked at your phone. And that's a big problem for Black Mirror if they want to get like the budgets they're probably asking for, which means they have to probably move towards a more like, at least more catharsis in their episodes, or at least just like have a more positive note on the endings.
I really
hate that. It's not great for a lot of the stories, I think. Especially for people like who are really into film and writing, you always want to see the interesting, like, not happy ending, right? Because happily ever after is the most generic ending ever. So you want something that's different and makes you feel differently, and that's interesting to people like us. But to your average person who wants to come after work and relax and watch something fun, it's not as much.
Yeah, it's emotionally heavy. I don't ever. Like, I couldn't even really binge it that much. I have to watch like 2 episodes at most at a time. Like, it's just a little too heavy sometimes. I've gotten kind of used to it.
Well,
I watched enough of the episodes. I'm a little desensitized right now.
That's also why I was able to watch I watched the whole season in a day, and I was like, well, that's weird. It's usually not that easy to watch a Black Mirror season. And it's probably because it's just a more positive season than it usually is. So.
I think it.
That might be the
really
direction
hate,
they're going to.
well, the thing
with
is,
the
I
future
really
seasons.
hope what you said isn't. It probably is true, but like I kind of thought it was because this past year was so dark for so many people, especially politically,
Yeah.
that they felt that to keep it modern, they needed to change things up a bit because
That could be part of it.
they've been doing the technological horror thing for 7 years,
Yeah.
and we're starting to get to the age of a lot of these inventions, and that past year was just so dark that we didn't really the whole point of the show was a dark reality, but not reality. So reality right now to a lot of people is hope. So
Yeah.
they maybe they did that to me. I think I'm reading into it too much. I think it's more of what you said because Netflix bought it. So season 3, it had San Junipero, which is known as the happiest episode if you're gonna pick them. And
I haven't seen it.
yeah, you haven't seen it, but yeah, it's known. It's still a little bit morbid, but it's got some. It's pretty much the most hopeful episode, and I actually didn't know this until yesterday. Apparently, obviously they're gonna reorder episodes, right? It's really popular, but apparently when Netflix bought it, they ordered it for 12 episodes to be spread out for 2 years. So they fulfilled that order.
Oh, okay.
So I wonder how it's gonna move forward. Maybe they'll have more episodes, which I don't want. Like I mean more episodes in a season. Like I don't want them to start doing like 13 for a season. Fuck that. Like because
I think
they'll be
6
really
is pretty good. Even 6 sometimes feels like a lot, but
I think 5 is the sweet spot.
Yeah, probably.
Because you always like out of these 2 seasons with 6, I still haven't finished season 3, but with season 4, there's at least 1 or 2 that we could have cut out, and I think most people would pick the same one.
Some of these episodes go to like an hour and a half, like movie length episodes. So
this actually is the first season without that.
Oh, really?
Each season, maybe not the first season, but each season has one that's at least like an hour and a half.
Okay.
Season 4 did not have any that were that long. They actually, Metalhead, which is a lot of people's least favorite episode of the season, that was the shortest of the series. It was about 38 minutes.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm actually glad for that. That's actually what I've been binging Twilight Zone for the past half year, and since there's 151 or so episodes of that show, and there's only 5 seasons, so it's like 30 episodes in one season.
What's the second episode? I'm trying to remember. I forget the
Black
order.
Mirror?
Of season 4.
Archangel.
Archangel. Okay, the Jodie Foster directed one. Okay.
Yeah. Which was okay. That one was decent. I
guess.
It could have gone somewhere better. But...
Yeah, I didn't like the ending. I didn't like how. Hello.
Fuck off, cat.
Small furry creature.
Actually, come here.
No.
Get your fat ass over here.
No, don't.
Oh wait, keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, I thought the ending was a little. Here's the thing: teenagers are hard to do, and it being written by Charlie Brooker, and probably with help from Jodie Foster. I'm sure she had some.
I don't think she had any writing credit.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I'm sure she had some creative process understanding, but writing teenagers is always a delicate balance of talking like teenagers, but also, not getting too cringy with it. And sometimes some of the dialogue was like this is an older person writing a younger person's dialogue or something like that. And the ending I also wasn't a fan of. I felt like it wasn't like a realistic reaction for her to just like smash the shit out of her mother's
well,
face.
we didn't say anything about spoilers. I thought we weren't going to get into spoilers.
Oops, I didn't mean to say that.
Okay, well, you already, unless you're going to like add a sound effect over what you said.
I'll just bleep it.
Are you actually going, like, will you remember to do that?
It's not hard to do that.
Well, I know it's not hard, but will you remember to do that? Like, look at we're around 23 minutes.
I mean, I listen to everything for quality control.
Okay, then.
So I'll know where it is.
Okay, then.
Now we're talking about it too much. So basically,
we can cut around it.
I didn't
so
like
brilliant.
the ending of Archangel.
Yeah, I saw Archangel,
and I felt it was unrealistic.
I will say a big fallacy of writing for teenagers, specifically teenagers, like even kids is easier, like pre-teens, but like with teenagers, the way they talk is usually just very conformist. So they say these things, the things they think are funny, typically aren't, and they're just spouting like what they heard someone else say. So it's hard to write original dialogue because they're not original.
Right.
And with kids, at least you have that aspect of them being goofy, and you can play with that. Like that's why Stranger Things, like I feel like it's not as hard to write for like 12-year-olds or whatever as it would be to write for a 16-year-old, because 16-year-olds are just typically kind of generic, not generic, but like in their thoughts, like everything is spouted from something else. So 1 out of 10 can be original, I guess, but for the most part, if you're capturing a typical teenager, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, dude, let's like smoke." Like it's just hard to, like, they're very predictable people usually. Like it's hard to say that, but
very
like
predictable creatures, easy to understand and emulate. And episode 3.
Oh, we
you have
actually
anything
we
to
are
say
going
about
in
Archangel?
order?
I said my piece about.
I thought the visual thing with the blood was cool. Near the beginning with the filter.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I just the thing is, I'm not really. Black Mirror either really does it for me or doesn't. Like it's just it's I've never been a super like I really like the show. It's really well done, but there's so many episodes where it's like it's half the episodes I watch are just kind of like and I'm just not into, and I'm bored. And
I mean, I'll give it credit. I don't stop watching episodes because I'm bored. Like it hasn't happened to me yet where I'm like watching an episode and I'm like, this is so boring, I'm going to stop and skip it or something like that. But I will say I feel Charlie Brooker as a writer, and I've been told that he writes with people a lot and for a lot of this. But it's very Black Mirror is very inconsistent. You know, sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's mediocre, sometimes it's just like weirdly bad, and it's and
Waldo
kind of gets you.
The thing is, a lot of episodes have slow beginnings, but they like the ones that are good pay off. So you're like, even if you're kind of bored or it's drawn out, you're just like, okay, the payoff will be good. Did you see White Bear? At least that one. At least Metalhead was short. Did you see White Bear?
No.
It's the second season with the woman who's
no. I'm gonna say no.
Well, that one is known for like until the reveal at the end, it's really drawn out, and you're kind of like losing interest, and you never really had interest to begin with. Like the concept is kind of interesting. Like she's running away from people, and like it's kind of like a hunt, and people aren't helping her. There's recording her on their phones, and they're not talking to her, and it's really interesting that way. But after like 40 minutes of that, it starts to get old.
Does she end up being like a white bear at the end?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
She goes she goes, bear needs hug.
That's a reference.
Yeah, to what? We'll never know. I also actually Hang the DJ. I got that vibe from. I was bored for a lot of that episode.
Oh yeah.
It was like I was still kind of engaged into where it was going, but there was times when I was like, okay, this is kind of a slog.
I was like, wait, Hang the DJ, is that episode 3 or 4?
4. It's
what's episode
the
3?
one with the Tinder. Like,
yeah, I know. What's episode 3 is? Episode 3 is the murder.
Crocodile.
Yeah,
the Iceland one.
Yeah, the Iceland one.
Which was pretty boring too.
Yeah, that Crocodile. I mean, do you have anything else about Archangel? Because I don't.
Not really, other than it's surprised. Like I was surprised. I had to look up if it was a different Jodie Foster directing it.
Yeah,
no, I do wish it ended. It seems like it ended like 10 minutes earlier than it should have.
Yeah,
like or just in a different place. But yeah,
I will say Jodie Foster as a director. I didn't. That was weird. I didn't detect anything super stylistic about her. It just seemed like someone was directing it.
I think it was just competent.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't super. It wasn't standing out to me as like there was some interesting. I don't remember any shots from that episode that were like super.
No, well, Black Mirror doesn't really strike me as one of those shows that has very many standout shots. Usually, like some episodes.
I know they're like, aren't they all directed by different directors, or are there some return directors that come through?
I would assume there's some return.
I don't know.
Let's. My phone's over there, so guess
we'll
never know.
My phone's also on charge, so we'll never know. We definitely don't have a laptop next to us right now. That's not a thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I've never really been visually appealed that much by Black Mirror. Like it's just they're competent shots, but none of them are stand out. That's why Crocodile.
I will say, yeah. Speaking of Crocodile, which is the third episode of season 4 that we're going into, that had definitely like a very almost kind of like Fincher-esque style. It had like a mix of like Fincher and like it reminded me actually of
do you know
Sheridan style in Wind River, which I saw recently, and they both had these sort of drawn out. It's kind of laying out the geography. Is it Iceland? Is that where they said?
It's
okay.
Iceland. I had to look it up because I was like, this place is so beautiful. What is it? Like,
it takes a certain kind of director to make the conscious decision to make these landscapes of Iceland a part of your story, because then you're making the landscape a character in your story, right? Then geography becomes a big part of your story, and it actually is a big part of this story. For example, well, I can't say for example. Well, there's a certain part in this film where the location of a place is very important to why there's a tension and a stake in the story. So
I will say that just backpedaling a bit, Archangel. I will say the part that you were gonna say that was a spoiler that definitely came out of nowhere for me. I didn't really. I thought it was a little unnecessary and it wasn't earned. But
I thought it was like I could see a similar argument being made that it's like
it's emotional. Like
it's emotional and it's like super dark times ish, and like you see how the kid what happens in super dark times, what happens to the kid. And you're like, and I remember you made the argument in our Super Dark Times podcast. You were like, well, he's a teenager, right? So it's a time when your hormones and your emotions are so unbalanced, so you could do just crazy shit all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, I did some fucking insane shit when I was a teenager.
Like so you could see why that happens in Super Dark Times, and then thus you could use the same argument for this, where it's like she's a teenager, so she could do some fucking crazy shit.
The thing is, it's not. I think it's pretty realistic that it would happen. I just don't think it needed to be the last thing that happened. Mm-hmm. Like, you needed to go somewhere from there. Like, we were just now getting interested in this tension, this building up. She's exploding. Where does this go? Oh, it goes nowhere. It's the end of the episode. So
yeah, it kind of ends abruptly, doesn't it?
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about Archangel is Jodie Foster. It's very hard to direct children, and even sometimes even in this same show in USS Callister, when it shows Tommy, his facial expressions are pretty fucking laughable. Oh, yeah. So it's just hard to direct children. So she did it really well. And you also need good actors. So that's pretty much it for me. But on Crocodile, I couldn't. I hated
1.5 thumbs up. Jodie Foster.
It was like everything. Like the cast was decent. The scenery was great. The music, which you said you got a David Fincher vibe from, that might be because Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor work with Fincher a good bit, and Atticus Ross did the music for that episode. Yeah. So that has something to do with it. But
it also seemed to be emulating Fincher's like pacing and
it had a lot of still shots
and what's the last film with the lady murder?
Gone Girl,
yeah.
But yeah, it just had all the parts laid out perfectly with the scenery, the location, the shots, the music, but then you just kind of had a mediocre story that fizzled out. And that really sucked, because about 5 minutes in, I was like, holy shit, these shots are like, I've never been wowed by this show with their shots, really, and they're always competent, but this is like, wow, like I hate that I'm bringing it up again, but Fargo.
Fargo stream alert.
Fargo
podcast is a go.
Even in the first episode, there's shots of like smokestacks in the snow, and, like with the snow falling and those smokestacks and the people's breath with the high definition. It was so, like, I'm a fan of snow scenery, and when you do,
you gotta see Wind River. You really gotta see Wind River.
What is that?
It's Taylor Sheridan's. It's the movie that it was his directing debut. He wrote Sicario and Hell or High Water, but Denis Villeneuve directed Sicario. Yeah. But then he decided the next movie, I'm gonna direct it and write it. So he wrote Wind River and he directed it, and it stars Elizabeth Olsen and Jeremy Renner, and it's like a thriller. It's really good. It came out.
Winter's Bone.
came out halfway this year. Isn't Winter's Bone the movie I was thinking of? I don't remember.
Winter's Bone's from 2010 with Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, never mind. But yeah, you should see it. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like movies just for the sake of being in the snow, but
no,
like,
you should just see it.
If they're well composed too, then it's awesome. And I wish
it won a pretty major award at.
It won the BAFTA.
No, it was I think it was not Venice. It was one of those European big film festivals. It won like the best movie award over there. But anyway,
did it win the BET People's Choice Award?
Yeah, the Nickelodeon. Yeah, it won that one.
But I don't really have much to say about Crocodile other than the.
I just thought it was
didn't go anywhere.
It was just funny to me, honestly, watching her just trying to like kill people to get out of the situation. And like I told him before the podcast,
we're just going all over spoilers, aren't we? Even though that was vague enough, I guess.
Wait, what did I say?
You said she's going around killing all these people.
Oh wait, whoops. People die in Black Mirror.
People die if they are killed.
She basically she's like trying to clean up her mess, and and she does a very well, she actually tries pretty hard, but it just keeps getting worse and worse. But the point being that fuck, I forgot. God damn you. God damn you.
You're going off of how
you awake?
How you once retweeted John Wayne once said.
We're now making Eric Andre references, so that's where we're at.
And we didn't even finish the reference.
Show me the way, brother.
Don't mess with the crab or you get the stabber.
Mess with the crab. Hey, we're not there yet. We're not on episode 5. Alright, we still have to talk about Crocodile for a second.
Well, what were you gonna... we were just talking about it was just kind of...
it was funny.
Yeah.
How it was the way it was.
Which is realistic to me, because like if you're not experienced with certain things, that's the typical mistake you make.
Yeah,
is what she was doing. So
the Black Mirror element of this episode is a
pretty
fun little thing called a recaller. Which, boy, is that a spoiler? It's called a recaller.
Well, what do you mean? Like
that's like the Black Mirror part. That's like this is the piece of technology that makes this a Black Mirror.
That's what they call it?
Yeah, it's called the recaller.
I thought you were doing like a device, like a plot device, like you call this a recaller.
No, it's
like
literally
a Deus Ex Machina.
Literally what they call it. I mean, it is a plot device machine, but
yeah, it felt kind of weird. It didn't really.
It felt
the
like
message was.
It
really
felt like a very
weird.
convoluted version of the enhance, and then they like enhance it again. They're like, look at the reflection, turn it 180, enhance.
It's like some guy like that.
Some guy just holding out the finger at the end of it all.
It's like slow jerking. But I don't really know what they were trying to say with this episode. And they don't always have to say something, but when you're Black Mirror, that's kind of your big thing, is that you have clear motivations.
Don't remember things, idiot.
If you do bad stuff, you will get caught in the future
because they'll hack your fucking brain.
Yeah, can you think of anything they were trying to like say?
What were they trying to say? Don't
because most episodes you can kind of like
don't
boil
do
it
bad
down
things
to something.
Because then they'll go into your brain and figure it out. Anyway, you can't hide. You can't hide what is eventually
what is inside.
You
can't hide what's inside. Okay, so I think we're done with Crocodile.
What is this girl's freaking doping problem?
Okay, so Hang the DJ.
Hang the DJ, the Tinder episode. Immediately I was drawn to this episode because I'm like, hey, that's Tiger. I think that was
what?
Tiger from Green Room. You still haven't seen Green Room, right?
I saw it. I think I saw it before you because I remember talking about it. And
you remember Tiger from Green Room?
No.
He was the tough dude. The dude who always wanted to fight. That was the dude in Black Mirror too.
The only characters that stand out to me in that were the two main, like the main girl and the main guy, and then the girl who plays Maybe in Arrested Development. Because
that's because you're a fucking pleb, and Green Room is a great film. Jeremy Saulnier, I love you. Anyway,
it is a great film. I still have not seen Blue Ruin. I cannot wait for Purple Diamond or Purple Architect.
Can we get the Russian anthem? Anyway, we're going all over the place with references. Anyway, this episode, you know what's weird? This episode felt super generic to me at first. And then it ended, and it was still generic.
And it was over. And I lived my life.
It felt like I was watching it was like a YA novel, but actually kind of executed well. But it was still a YA novel, so it was just like, I know exactly how this is going to go, but it's kind of like, at least it's done well.
YA?
Young adult novel?
Young adult?
Yeah, like fucking like Twilight and like the
Twilight?
You know, the show, the vampire
show? Vampire? But
Nope.
yeah, that one I was pretty like
I was like I you said you were bored, but I was actually like decently entertained the whole time. But
I was entertained.
I just
like
didn't
I said,
care where it went.
Like I said, it's Black Mirror, so I was trusting that it was going somewhere good.
Right.
So I invested the time, but for the most part, there was so much padding. There was so much them walking around doing bullshit that we could have skimmed out.
I just don't get what it did. Like, by the way, can you explain? Oh wait, this is a spoiler, I guess.
Can we?
Can you explain?
Because
wait.
This like
explain
inhibits
the ending. Explain the ending.
Inhibits
vaguely.
the conversation.
Explain the ending vaguely to me, because I understood that it was at the end. It was like an app, but
so we are just gonna.
That's not a spoiler because they don't know what it's about, so they don't know that.
I think I would have figured it out if you just said it's an app. I think I would have.
Well, okay, it's an app, but like, how are they inside it?
Okay, so we're just doing spoilers. So sorry. Like we need to talk about this. We're really sorry, but
how are they inside the app for like 1,000 simulations? I'm confused.
Okay, so
is what like their DNA is in there and they're like recreating them inside the app, or like?
Okay, well, we don't know. We could assume that, but what Brooker said is that basically the app creates simulations 1,000 times, and the whole thing, you know, if you rebel, then it's going to. So it's not very complicated. It's just like I guess just assume, yeah, maybe there's like some like thumbprint thing you can do, or you just fill out a survey like any other dating app. You just fill out things about yourself, but this is like way more accurate. Or maybe it's like Ancestry.com. Maybe you like send something in and they like get your DNA, like your personality, just anything. Just like, it's not really important. It's not really important to the story, you know, because there's so many things you can just like fill in that's not really a detail that you really need. It would have been nice, but it doesn't really take away from anything if you
Takes
don't.
away from me. Okay.
Well, you're a nub, and your son will be a nubbin. Let your first child be a masculine child. Anyway,
not really gonna have kids.
I wonder how many times I can say on this podcast. I'd Beavis.
I fucking hate Beavis and Butthead. Don't ever make a Beavis and Butthead reference ever again. Here, what? Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, that's a good Beavis. But yeah, the what else do you need?
I mean, that's it. I guess it's an unimportant detail to everyone else, but I guess I just wanted to know.
No, I mean,
it all happened.
It definitely would have been a little bit more satisfying, but I don't like. I think it ends.
I couldn't tell if it was like a twist or not that it was like that. Like that's what was weird to me. I was like,
it was. Yeah.
But it's like, you got to explain how it was even working in the first place. Like, why not?
Well, how does Tinder work? Do we need to know?
How does Tinder work?
Do we need explained? How?
I mean, like, if you like, okay, keep it in Tinder. You have to put in like shit, and then it learns stuff about you. Well,
but then she just like
Tinder. I'm fairly certain is just random location based. It's just sending you shit because you guys may have similar Facebook likes. And those likes are like from when you're in middle school, you're liking shit.
No, there's no algorithm in Tinder. It's completely random.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's completely no. But I remember in Tinder, it does like look at your Facebook likes for some reason, and if it'll say like, here are your shared likes. With
no, it does do that, but that doesn't mean that it prioritizes.
Yeah,
it
I
shows
have no
you.
idea. I know.
I don't know.
Okay, Cupid does actually have like.
Does
you have to answer a bunch of questions, and then it matches you with people who have answered similarly to you, basically. So.
But yeah, I just felt like you could just assume that information. It would have made it a little bit more interesting, especially with the ending and that being the big reveal. But
It's because it's Black Mirror. I'm like, what is the fucking technology here? Is it just fucking Tinder app that just like super future guy?
They usually do have those moments too where they'll spend like 10 extra minutes just telling you what shit is. Like just exposition, but done well and naturally, so.
I don't know, I felt like it's just an important part that they just randomly decided to take out, for me at least. Other than that, I mean, the romance, I actually thought they had a pretty great chemistry, the actor and the actress did. Or at least they faked it pretty well. I don't know if they'd actually... I didn't feel like it was the most authentic thing ever, but they did a pretty good job.
Some of the dialogue was a little cringy to me. Yeah. Like, just not as... I've seen more charming relationships in things. Like, this was, like, lame dad jokes and... Like, you make me go funny.
It was funny how, like, the dude was just sitting there with that girl that he pretty much hated for, like, a year, and then the girl is just getting that good dick, like, every fucking day.
Yeah, like real life. I like how, well, I would have liked to see more of the repercussions of them going into what they understand their situation to be, since we find out at the end the big thing.
Yeah.
And, I would have liked to know what would have happened if, like, we have to stay with each other for a year, and it's like, you hate this person. What's gonna happen? Am I gonna die? Like, are we dead? Like, if we stop, because this is gonna really fucking suck.
Yeah.
And
I thought it was gonna go a totally different way with the whole wilderness thing and like what's outside the wall. It was already setting up for like some post-apocalyptic stuff.
Yeah.
And then it didn't really follow through. I mean, not say it had to.
They're climbing the wall and then just a fucking colossal titan.
I actually was expecting some really funny, like just subverted ending. Like, that's just like they come out there, there's literally wolves right there. They just eat them alive right then and there. Like, just...
That's an anomaly. I'm just now realizing too, God, like, I was telling Justin many episodes. It seems like some asshole I know. It seems like this season they're getting a little technologically fatigued with coming up with new scenarios for technology. So several of the episodes actually had very similar uses of technology to the episode White Christmas with the cookies. And the people, he hasn't seen it, so I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
But anyone who's seen the episode will know what I'm talking about.
No, I'm with you.
And it's in terms of consciousness and technology, and this whole season seemed to play a lot of that, and even to the point of aspects of the last episode, Black Museum, almost being a straight ripoff of that technology. But the upside is that they actually acknowledge cookies in Black Museums, like as I think it was like a pre-existing, like they evolved into this other thing. So
yeah,
at least they did that because they knew it was getting really close in territory. But this whole thing too, just with consciousness and the 1,000 times, it just kind of, I just realized it has a lot of the same type thing.
Hey, what is that? What is that? Hey, what is that?
It's like 90 degrees in here.
It actually is pretty hot. It's like kind of hot in here.
Okay, are we done with anything else to say?
I have nothing else to say. Hang the DJ. That the girl, I like her. I hope she's in more stuff.
The guy was pretty bland.
The guy was pretty hot, and then the girl, she can like get it.
Was he hot? He was kind of average.
I just saying shit, dude. I don't give a fuck. Anyway,
remember that guy who would like. I thought, did you think he was like a robot or something? Like,
no,
like they would reveal he's like some robot sent by the agency. He's like the perfect guy.
Oh
like,
yeah, it's kind of funny how. No, but
because he's like, so I think we should have sex right up front because that makes it better in the long run.
Well, I thought they were like trying to sell him as the perfect man, but I thought he was like, his face was kind of annoying, so I was just like, I don't get it. But anyway, episode 4, hang the DJ. We get it a out of bleh. All right. Anyway, moving on to
Metalhead.
Is it Metalhead?
Yes. Well, we are almost done.
Oh shit, we're on Metalhead.
We're episode 5.
We're on the. Well, I have to make it black and white because that's my artistic.
Okay,
decision.
so from now on, from this point on, the podcast is going to be in black and white.
Yeah, from this point on. So.
And
ready.
Cool. So
now it's black and white. Artistic decision, by the way.
You know what's funny? I actually haven't told you this off camera.
It's terrifying.
You have you ever had a dream that you but okay, so like you
Is you okay over there, buddy?
Your mom's a milk dude. Mom's Jeremy, are you okay? Totally fish in the sea. I bet no one gets what the fuck that is, but you don't. I could have sworn I showed you. Just type in "mom's a milf" on YouTube. You'll find it's it's not Balloon Shop, but those other guys that were really good YouTube skit comedy back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay. So Metalhead. I don't know if you noticed this. I started realizing it, and I was like, "Who the fuck did this music? This sounds really familiar." And then I just realized they just completely ripped off The Shining.
Really?
Completely. Like in articles, they say that they were homaging certain styles from Kubrick, and I was like, no. You just ripped off The Shining soundtrack. Do you remember what The Shining does, where it has the violin, where it goes like,
oh yeah,
it does the exact same thing. It's like the same note and everything.
I remember it having a very minimal like violin thing going on most of the time, and I thought that was like, man, this is like, look, I don't want to like really shit on these filmmakers because I personally I don't know why something about this episode just really annoyed me. So I'm just gonna flame these filmmakers that are probably way better than I'll ever be. But here we are. It felt like a really high budget film school film to me, and I didn't like it.
I think most of that the problem comes from the script,
especially like the first thing I'm thinking. It's like, well, what's the first thing a pretentious film student would think? Oh, let's have like a minimal violin going on through it, and we'll emulate The Shining. Well, and let's have it in black and white.
Did it.
Oh, wait, I forgot. It's a Black Mirror episode. Let's put a robot dog. It's like...
Let's put it Black and Mirror.
It's like, oh, shit, I forgot I have to make a Black Mirror episode well,
here's your robot dog.
here's your
technology, bitches.
Here's your technology, and also this is a Mad Max world.
I like to imagine it's like a frat bro making it. So, here's your dog, bro. Here's your technology.
Mess with the crowd, but you get the stabba. So this episode was basically, I don't know, there was some fucking chick and her sister, I think, needs something, and then they
find out at the end what it is.
Yeah,
it's like
she needs a thing, and it's really important.
It's not,
but
that's the irony, is that it's not important.
It's not important. And so she goes with two dudes who are completely undeveloped and pointless.
Two brothers
that are definitely meant to die.
Two brothers.
They're brothers.
It's called Two Brother.
Yeah.
I can't remember any more of the dialogue from that.
I just was like, one of them's white, one of them's black, so.
No, I was talking about the Rick and Morty, where he's like doing the TV. He's like, it's two brothers. He's like stuttering. Yeah. Okay, go on.
Anyway,
too many references.
Yeah, so they go to find this thing, and things go wrong, and she basically, most of the film is the main character running away from something that we've made stupid references to already. And at some point a knife gets involved. And she's being followed by this thing. And then we find out the whole world is filled with these things that have taken over. And then you find out what she was trying to get to begin with, which was pointless, by the way. And then it ends. And then we're like, why did we watch that Black Mirror episode for 40 minutes?
I actually, you know what? I was actually not super bored by it just because I really liked looking at it. like it was one of the only, it's probably the only Black Mirror episode where I like just the way it looked, the visual and the setting. I was just like, okay, I know this isn't that long. I'll watch this. Like I'm having.
I'd like to formally announce I'm not working with Hudson in a creative capacity.
Yeah, because it didn't have a good enough plot. I don't like dogs. He actually doesn't like dogs, by the way. Send Finn.
What the hell?
Send Finn hate.
Wait. No, I don't hate dogs.
You hate dogs.
Where is this? I love dogs.
First of all, I said you don't like dogs. I didn't say hate. You put in hate, but yeah, you hate dogs. And everyone's flame.
My sister has a dog now, and I love that dog. But the thing is, I'm allergic to dogs, so I can't be around dogs for very long.
You also don't know how to interact with dogs.
Actually, I've gotten much better now that we have a dog that's in close distance.
How long have I? It seems like they would have had that dog for a while. But
she has had it for maybe 2 weeks now.
What the fuck? I didn't know it was that new.
Maybe a little longer.
Yeah, it's pretty well decently behaved dog for that. He was like trying to eat some. She was trying to eat some chicken, but off the counter. But
yeah. Anyway, someone has a dog. That's the point. And you know what? Dogs, they're important to this episode. I won't say exactly how.
Don't you like to? They could have had so many clever moments of her outsmarting the thing, but they only did 2 different moments, and they weren't really. You were just like, oh yeah, I could have done that.
With the count
I didn't
to
know paint was so.
What's with the count to 1,000 thing?
Well, I think she was just establishing a pattern, and the thing is so intelligent that she couldn't just do it after like 10 seconds. So she had to like wait.
Why 1,000?
I think she was saying 1,000. She wasn't counting to 1,000.
I thought she was.
No, that's how you do like Mississippi. So you're like 1,000, 2,000.
No, she was like literally count. Like remember, she'd be like 1, 2, and then she would like it'd like skip, and she'd like 994, 995.
I don't know. I guess she was doing it so it would get used to this.
Times,
she would get used to. She did it overnight.
Yeah.
The thing would get used to this pattern, so it would give her 1,000 seconds to get far away.
And I assume it was solar powered.
Why do you assume that?
I mean, why would it run out of power in the middle of the night?
I don't think it ran out of power.
Isn't that what the little power bar thing was? It was like I lost a bar. I lost another bar.
I saw that as it going into sleep mode, and like if it hears it, or like if anything touches it or it hears anything, then it'll wake back up. But instead, it's just sitting there because it's like bored. But like it's just waiting her out. I didn't notice any bars going down. I saw the symbol of the battery, but I didn't notice.
You didn't see the four power symbols, and then like one would fade away.
Maybe it just needs sleep. Maybe it just needs to reach. Maybe it's self-recharging. Maybe that's why they're so dangerous.
Yeah, I assumed they were trying to go for it. It's like it's solar powered because it was at night and it ran out of power. And then when it was day again, you saw the bars come back because it was daytime.
Wouldn't you think if that was the case, and they would have gone to that warehouse at night if this planet is like overrun by robot dogs?
Well, they would have full power no matter what if they found one in there.
Yeah, but they would have more of it. It could have.
But then you're kind of hindering yourself because it's also at night. You might hurt yourself versus like just going during the day.
Versus getting fucking killed by a
knife
dog.
You're gonna get killed by a knife dog. Oh, we're spoiling.
Yeah,
but you're gonna get killed by a knife dog anyway.
That's not a spoiler.
Yeah, you're right. Knife dogs are spoilers.
We already said knife dog. Who the fuck's gonna know what that means?
Knife dog. I don't know. I didn't like it. There was a lot to be desired. So, I guess you can talk about something you liked about it.
I didn't really. There was not much to say. I just kind of liked the visual style, but I wish more happened. I wish it was a little bit more. I wish it was smarter.
I wish it was good. Next episode.
That too.
So
Museum.
Black Museum, the ultimate episode, because the one before that was the penultimate episode.
Some people have even said that it feels like a finale to the series, which I can see, and we might get if Netflix doesn't like.
Netflix
depending on
is not renewing this.
Also, it might have to do
with
the budget.
Maybe
for Charlie
Brooker.
Episode, by the way. Maybe Charlie Brooker doesn't want to do probably a couple million.
I think they're probably different per episode, but I wonder what the overall
usually
budget is.
Probably a couple million.
What do you think a whole season costs? Like 40 million,
somewhere around there. Because if you've ever. Have you ever seen Blue Mountain State, the football Spike TV show?
No. But I know about it.
Well,
I know of it.
Apparently they canceled it because by season 3, each episode was getting to be 1 million. And that's insane when you watch that show and you're just like, how the fuck was this 1 million per episode? Like,
isn't that like Game of Thrones though? Well, Game of Thrones is like 1 million now, right? Well, I think it's more, right?
Per episode?
Yeah.
It's definitely more. Like, if Blue Mountain State cost 1 million, like, if you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about, where you're just like, how the fuck was this 1 million? So, like, if that was 1 million, Game of Thrones is like, I think it's like, they get like some crazy amount each season. Like, they get like 100 million or something, but,
yeah, I want to say it was like 80 million for a full season for Game of Thrones or something like
that. But, yeah, I don't know. We still do not have our phones with us. I
don't want to just give your phone?
Yeah, do that. Black Mirror production cost. You have one new comment.
On what?
Instagram.
Oh, dude, let me see, because we're all on this stupid Instagram.
It's probably something someone tagged me in.
It's the thing that we are both tagged in, Hudson.
You don't know what I'm tagged. I could be tagged in other shit.
You don't know. I'm cool.
We'll say something while I don't know, just entertain.
Yeah, Black Museum is...
Black Mirror.
Man, this was like the most cathartic episode. I think that's what they're really going for, and that's kind of the in a sense that's a lot of these episodes.
You would if you see San Junipero, you'd say that's the most cathartic.
Okay, well then that one, but yeah, this one, it is kind of fun. It's like a episode. It's like episodes within an episode in a way. It's like 3 mini stories are put into one.
Holy shit!
What?
How the fuck? Whoever's producing the show is a fucking phenomenal producer if they can do this. Netflix paid $40 million for the 12 episodes.
Oh wow!
How the fuck $20 million for each?
Look, I believe that in the sense, like, for example, episodes like Metalhead, I can see being pretty cheap.
You think they put in like a specific episode to be?
Yeah, like they're pretty
know.
Expensive, and
like,
most of them are pretty cheap.
Like Shut Up and Dance in season 3 was probably that episode. That's the one where the kid's blackmailed by like the.
Oh yeah.
He has to do the crimes. That's probably.
Yeah, that probably. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not a lot going on. That's other than like getting city permits, basically, to film in like city areas and stuff. Which I'm sure, because I assume Charlie Brooker has a lot of BBC connections, and BBC will probably let you film anywhere if you're with them, working with them, anywhere in Britain. I mean, especially London and stuff. So, I assume that helps with production costs and stuff. Yeah, I mean, $40 million for 12 episodes, I could see it. If you're, it's good. It's just good producing, probably too.
Some article on Wired said Black Mirror review for the new season, darker than ever before, but there is also hope. I don't think it was. If anything, it's the least dark it's ever been.
Yeah, it's like I said, it was 3 mini episodes in a single episode, and it's kind of like it's set in this museum that this girl comes to.
The 3-episode thing is the same structure as White Christmas.
Yeah.
This takes a lot of hint from White Christmas, because White Christmas was one of the more critically acclaimed episodes. So
yeah,
and creative. So.
I like the kind of like. It ended up not going this direction, but I kind of liked the world building it was doing for a second. It felt like it was like this kind of almost like Fallout-esque, like post-apocalyptic world, which it's not. But in the beginning, I felt that way.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if this was like a normal time period or if it was like in some post-apocalyptic thing because they're in the desert.
Yeah.
But
I just like the kind of like the color scheme they were using for a lot of things. It was more colorful than your typical post-apocalyptic thing, and I was just getting cool aesthetic vibes out of it. But then they went into the Black Museum part, and it turned into something else. Not that it was worse or anything, but it was just like it was just different from what I expected.
The references are, I think they said there's about 9 references to past Black Mirror episodes. I don't really understand them.
I don't remember them all. I'd have to look into it.
Well, I don't understand the placement of them, because Brooker has said that this is not a shared universe.
Mm-hmm.
These are all different things. So why the fuck would this guy? Why would it be significant that there's this? Because he had in USS Callister,
mm-hmm.
he had the assimilation box that he used to clone things and put it into the game,
mm-hmm.
and he even had the lollipop. The girl took the lollipop. Why would it be with the box?
I didn't see it there.
No, it was there. It was
okay.
It was right next to it, and so you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. You kind of have to be like, this isn't. It's not like it's saying in the same continuity it ended there.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like just slight references. Like if you asked him what that was about, he would probably give you a different story that's not what we know it from.
Yeah.
But you had the bathtub with the blood stain, which is from Crocodile. You had the little.
That was there.
Yeah.
That was a lot
See, why would that be there? Like there's just all these things that like.
It just seems.
It had the tablet. It had the broken tablet from Archangel.
Wow, I missed all these.
It's just all this shit that's like it wouldn't be there, but you kind of have to look at it as. Maybe this isn't the exact shit that we know. Maybe there's a different story behind it for the significance.
I would look at it as, here are the props from the other episodes that we're going to stick in this museum.
It would have been cooler if we didn't get, because there's so many, it just dedicated shots to them.
Yeah.
Like it'd be cool if they were more in the background and someone noticed them. but like we literally had several shots of just showing shit from past episodes that didn't really make sense if you think about it.
I missed them all. I'm just like
really?
a fucking idiot, dude. I just like
did you really?
Them. Yeah.
We'll look at it after this, just to see that one part. But to the writing, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
The end.
I was pretty. I like the idea of that guy who was just like kind of like the storyteller, and he was like a good storyteller.
He got more and more twisted as it went on. Like you knew there was something off about him at first, but just like the stories he came,
they did a good job of like twisting him more and more each time. It didn't feel like it felt kind of like a natural thing too, like with each story.
Also, I should say, because I love this guy, the first story that he tells is apparently based on a short story by Penn Jillette, which was really fucking surprising because I didn't even know. I knew he wrote like autobiographies. I didn't know he wrote short stories or anything. I really like Penn Jillette, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I met him once. He was tall.
Wow, brag about it, dude.
Yeah, he was tall. I met Teller too, and he talked to me.
Wow, brag about it.
I might actually get shot because Teller doesn't talk.
Yeah.
So I might they might kill me.
What'd he tell her? That there's an knee slapper.
That's a face slapper. You know what? Just to side, I will say this is kind of since we're doing this freeform type thing, this is kind of a funny story. It won't take long. When I was at the Penn and Teller, the Magicians show in Vegas 2 years ago, and they did this trick where they were getting volunteers from the audience, and usually I wouldn't really do that thing, but my dad was like, "Go up there, why not?" So I raised my hand, and I was one of the people he picked because they were picking like 15 people out of like the couple hundred that were there, and I got picked, and it brought me up, and it's funny because the whole thing about Teller, his gimmick for like 40 years is that he doesn't talk, so you can't even really find interviews where he talks,
right?
Like that's just his thing, and like he just whispers stuff, you don't hear his voice, and I went up there and they had all of us in a line because they were gonna make like an elephant disappear or something, and I was there in the line, and Teller looks back at me and then just like softly says, just like, "Step back a little bit," and I'm like, "Okay, sorry." He's like, "It's okay." I just always thought that was really funny because it's like this guy who's known for like a lot of people haven't heard his voice and you can't like digitally find it. He's just like telling me, he's just like, "It's okay."
You should have gotten close to the mic to whisper.
Yeah, he's like, "Get the fuck back! You're fucking gay."
Dude, that's funny. And you know, we're not talking about other film channels.
Okay, so back to Black Museum. The storytelling was pretty cool. I like it was the same structure, so it wasn't overly original. It was the same structure as White Christmas. So it was somewhat of a cop-out, but it's such a good structure that the stories are well written enough in themselves.
Now I want to watch White Christmas because I want to see.
Well, yeah, like I said, I like it so much I would have been down to watch it earlier, but it's such a good structure, and the stories, as long as the stories themselves are good, then who the fuck cares?
Right.
I just hope that they don't get carried away with that, like that becomes their thing. But
I was a fan of the writing and all that, so.
Like,
I'm trying to think of
Monkey
like
wants fuck. What if it was like a pro wrestler? If it was like Hulk Hogan, he's like, "Monkey wants hog." The kid's like, "Yeah."
I thought there's something weirdly tragic about that one. I mean, obviously it's tragic, but I feel like for me personally, I don't know, it really bothered me that she was in that bear.
It was a monkey and spoilers.
Yeah,
but
monkey.
Like I said, I think it depends on which one you watch first, because if you watch White Christmas first, that might not be as disturbing.
Right.
But it might be vice versa. Since you saw this first, White Christmas might not be as disturbing. But
I was just thinking about, like, imagine just being stuck there while everyone's gone, and you're just like looking at one thing, and you're just like, you're nothing you can do, and you just have, I don't know. It's like I have no voice, and I can't scream.
No.
And I can't scream.
Well, you know, it's funny you said that about this episode. As soon as I watched USS Callister, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream was the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally a god character toying with these people just for his own enjoyment, and he also hates you.
Yeah.
And he even makes your face go away.
Yeah.
Like, you literally have no mouth and you must scream.
Yep.
That's a great short story. If Harlan Ellison, if people haven't read that, you really need to read that. It's like 6 pages. Fucking great. It's from the 60s, but reads really modern. Like,
yeah. I will say there's a few. Like I said, I was saying this earlier, but a lot of logical leaps. I feel like in this, like I just don't buy that. Like once you put the consciousness in something else, that you can't just like suck it out the same way you did the first time. Like it's just like if consciousness is like, for example, like data,
I think
or like a system, then you should be able to move it over and over again, and it shouldn't be an issue. If you're gonna like build that logic, then it should work that way too.
I think the thing was he said that the technology to put in something that they can't express emotion was illegal. So no one, like, you just have to leave it be, because they probably did have the technology to take it out, but someone would have to volunteer to have this person in their head, or they would have had to create like a robot or something so she can emote, and they didn't want to do that, so they just left her there.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
they probably do have the technology
make the fucking robot.
They probably do have the technology, and I mean, this guy was an ass. He, remember when the guy with the pain was losing his mind? He's just like, well, we've got other project. I mean, we'll work on it. But like, it's pretty entertaining. I don't know. It feels like it was. I think it was one of the more engaging episodes of the season. It had that classic Black Mirror where it starts off a little slow, but then slowly hooks you, and by the end of it, you're just like. There's like 3 different things that have already kind of disturbed you, and you're just you can't wait to see how it ends. Like that's Black Mirror at its best to me. Is when it does that, and that's what White Christmas did for me. That's what this episode did.
That's definitely it feels
Playtest
like,
did that for me too.
Yeah, it feels kind of like a twisted kind of like fairy tale, or like a children's story in a way. A lot of these, and I enjoyed that aspect. I don't know.
Really, I didn't really.
It's because you're an idiot.
Yeah. So. I also with the monkey thing, it does seem kind of weird that the husband would just kind of like he was so adamant about like, we're not killing her, but then giving her a fate worse than death.
Yeah.
And then just letting the monkey go.
Yeah, I didn't really understand. Like I felt like
they skipped over a step. It seems like they skipped over a scene with him reacting to it being illegal or something.
I mean, I feel like at that point, instead of moving it to the bear, I think he would choose to kill her, like end it. Like it's not worth. If you can't do it in a way that's gonna like make her happy, then just fucking kill her. He was making the argument like, oh, she wants to live, but like
she wants to see her son grow up. And it's like, so she's doing that. Like it kind of we needed like an extra scene where he kind of contemplates what the fuck he did. But we didn't really get that, and it's fine, I guess. I just wish we had that, but the ending was pretty cool. Just the big main attraction. That was also disturbing. Like it takes such a talented writer to be able to stack up disturbing things one by one to end with something that is the most disturbing. I mean, you could say the monkey thing was more disturbing, but still being in perpetual pain just for others' enjoyment is pretty fucked up.
That was a pretty cool idea too. I mean, it's fucked up, but it's like it was definitely like a work of imagination to think of something like that.
We should probably get to last thoughts.
This really is long. My last thought. It was good. That last episode.
You really are
probably...
that was a thought.
I'm a thought.
Yeah, you're a thought with a thought.
Anyway, it was. I think it was probably the best episode of the season, or at least tied with USS Callister.
I think writing wise, it's the best.
Yeah.
In terms of entertainment, they're both pretty equal.
Yeah.
Like Callister was really fucking entertaining.
Here's the thing. I don't think I would watch Black Museum again. It's just not something I'd like to experience again.
Well, it's like watch. The typical when Black Mirror is at its best. You like we were talking about movies with rewatchability. You don't.
Oops.
You don't really want to watch them again. It's like Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
Great movie, but I don't think anyone ever wants to see it again after the first time.
Yeah, it does harken back to the best of Black Mirror, where it's like they're horror stories, right? So they they end very like. Of course, it's had a very cathartic ending, but it still had those horror endings.
Well, also that a big part of watching episode is seeing what happens next.
Yeah.
So if you already know what happens next, it takes a lot of the fun out of watching it.
Yeah.
So unless you're watching it with someone else.
Yeah.
So that's like pretty much. I think Black Mirror. People act like they watch it all the time, but it's like I bet you watched it one time. You're waiting for the next season. There's no way that you've watched these episodes multiple times unless you're showing it to friends. How do you get enjoyment out of these things that like most of the enjoyment is seeing what happens.
Yeah.
So it's like you already know.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And
Callister, though, I will say was a different exception. I've actually seen that episode twice already.
Oh wow.
Like
Okay.
I was really entertained by it.
Yeah, I
like,
thought it was pretty entertaining too.
It was comedic. Like
yeah,
it was the most comedic episode. He slaps her. Oh my fuck! And that guy's from It's Always Sunny, so he's always funny.
That guy's from I
He's
know
from
him from
Westworld,
Westworld. I know him from Westworld.
He's from a lot of things. House of Cards.
Yeah, he's good. He's cool. Yeah, it's a good episode. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I think overall, you're gonna give like a rating for the overall season. Maybe?
Well, maybe not a rating because I don't. Like I said, I don't think the season should be viewed as the season
a thing together.
Yeah. So let's do our personal favorite episode and then our personal least favorite, and we're probably gonna.
Okay, my personal favorite. Yeah, probably Black Museum. Black Mirror. Black Mirror is my favorite episode.
What's your
Black Museum's my favorite. My least favorite is Metalhead, obviously. I hated that one. I didn't hate it. It was just really not good.
Black Museum's probably my favorite if I had to go off of writing, but entertainment, Callister, definitely.
Same way, pretty much.
Least favorite, Metalhead, but Crocodile's a close fucking second. I just didn't there's nothing to gain from that one really too much. The technology is a saving grace because it is kind of cool, but it does seem like a step backward, like almost like in technology. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it seems like they're usually more advanced with their technology, and this was like a thing. Like it almost looked like the TVs were even old, like the things that they were watching it on.
Dude, I was like, this is like a Blade Runner. This is Blade Runner right here.
Yeah, so
that's actually what reminded me of, like some device from the original Blade Runner. All right. Closing thoughts. Oh wait, we already did. All right.
Guys. Well, we need to end on something. These people have been listening for an hour and 16 minutes. We got to end on something. How about
ready? 1 and 2 and.